Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Nocturnal Feeding. It's me, Chattanooga Ed, with James of Fish Room Fever, and our buddy, Rico Stan. Rico, you looked the wrong. There you go.
What the? That was me. I just opened a new window, and it was the same thing. It should have. All right. It was nice knowing you guys.
All right.
Okay.
His streaming career is ended.
Well,
that's weird that it came back.
James and I have our notes ready, and we're sure that Rico did too for this stream. So we'll see. Why don't we let you start it off?
Who, me?
No, I'm just messing, folks.
Well, you said you. I mean, there's two other yous here, you know. The two of yous.
No, guys, I thought I would talk about breeding guppies tonight. I had another idea, but since next week's Aquashella, I want to hold that one till later. Because who knows what we're going to be doing for the Aquashella show. But I thought, right now I am trying to breed guppies like a crazy person, and maybe everybody else is out there trying to do the same thing. So I thought I would share some of my knowledge. Maybe we can get James to kick in on some of what he thinks, or just on my ideas, and we'll see what Rico does too, because that'll be pretty cool. But before we do that, I don't have chat up. So, James, could you run through the cool list? Because we want to say hi to everybody here.
Absolutely. Let me get the auctioneer, voice ready here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Where's my list? Okay. All right, YouTube's going to make me look bad. Here we go. Now it's up. All right, welcome. 503 Aquatics Aquariums, maintained by Andy Aquatic Aesthetics, Blue Rhino Games, Carol Cox, where's Chattanooga Ed, Dennis Christensen. Hey, there's Bob Keller. Keller's Aquatics and Exotics just popped up on the list. Darlene's Tank, Stolbeck Aqua Designs, Guppy Shack, Jenny Lynn Lefty, 32138, Liquid Zoo Only Fins, M&C Aquatics, Main's Tails, Fur and Fins. How's it going, Jess? Mike's Aquatics and Things. Mylene, I'm going to mess your last name up, and I apologize. We're going to leave it at that. Welcome, Mylene M. Natural Aquariums, Paul Stero S. Sandy Dowdy, Sandy Remicker, Steve P. 2003 Aquatics, Swiss Aquatics. What's going on, Priscilla? Long time no see. Good to see you in here. And the Zen Ginger. Everybody else that's here but not on the active participants list, thank you all for being here. And Ed should have his chat up right about now.
Yeah, I do. Awesome. And, the first person you read off was 503 Shauna. Oh, I'm waiting for somebody to say if I did it correctly. But, of course, this guy has no idea. She was on the Spotlight with Rico and I last Saturday night, and she was amazing. She was a super fun person, and I wish she lived here so she could be in our club because she's a lot of fun. She's really cool.
Absolutely.
And I think I checked last time I checked, I think she's at 125. So if you guys want to check out somebody new and cool, go check her out and give her, and if you don't like her, still give her a sub. Because maybe she'll start doing something you'd like. Who knows?
Did you? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you see what Priscilla said?
I was just about to talk about Priscilla.
Her mantis shrimp died.
That
so cool.
That sucks.
So sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ed, but that's just horrible. That thing was so cool. Sad.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I was just going to say how much I love that photo of Priscilla and Anthony. It's such a cute one on Facebook. I don't know if there's some type of competitions for cuteness, but that one should be submitted because super cute. But okay, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about guppies and everybody else. Thank you for showing up. I really do appreciate it. I didn't want to just talk about Priscilla's cute picture.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to steal the show here real quick, Ed. Start this off right. Aquariums maintained by Andy has a $5 super chat.
Oh.
And a question pertaining to the topic. I can't believe that. I mean, I can believe it from Andy,
awesome.
But rarely that happens. But thank you, Andy, supporting buddy Ed here. But he says, is aquarium salt necessary in guppy breeding or molly breeding?
Okay. I do my best to breed my guppies with zero salt. The only time I use salt is when they're sick. And the problem with if you get guppies from a box store or from overseas, a lot of times they're brought up in a lot of salt. So you have to wing them off of it. Just like James and I went down to Florida with Daniken last year, Kenny E from Daniken, and we caught some mollies. They weren't actually brackish, but the mineral water they were in was pretty much equivalent to a high salt ratio. And I put them on salt, and I just kept taking it out slowly. Every water change, I did less, and now they're completely off salt, and they breed like crazy. I don't like adding salt because I like having plants. I don't want to depend on salt to be my win all, one all, or how's that phrase go? One all, win all? I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to use my salt just for medications.
Right, and you kind of touched on it there to the point that when you get those guppies that have been in heavily mineralized water, the highly salted, a lot of times they tend to break down fairly rapidly if you get them, into your tank. You get them home. So I'm right there with you in terms of I don't use salt unless I need to, and I use it in place of a medication or as a medication, just because I want my fish to be as hardy as possible, and I feel like that doesn't give you the hardiest fish that you could possibly have, especially when it pertains to other people potentially getting those fish.
Let me ask you this: How do you know? How do you know that those guppies are in a more brackish or close to brackish water? Is you can't. Can you test the water because if you're getting them from a fish store, no, you're probably not going to find out anything that way.
Right.
But how is there any way to tell that they, other than asking the people and communicating, but there's no way to just look at them or test the water to be able to tell that, right? So sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah, what's sad about it is the guppies, you put them in your fresh water and they don't just start to fall apart. They die quick. They last about a week or two and their organs shut down, they die. They don't really show signs. It's just the salt, they're so used to that salt helping keep out the water. When they don't have that on their body helping them, it just crushes them down and kills them quick. And so what I just don't do box store ones. I just don't do it anymore. I had a box store ones I had from Petco for about a year and a half, and it was just constant fiddling with them, trying to keep them healthy. And it just wasn't worth it. Well, one time the heat got a little too low and they died. It's just not worth it. So I'm either going to get mine from a pet store like Aquatic Aesthetics or Marine
Aquatic Marine.
Aquatic Marine, thank you.
I knew what it was.
I said the Marine first, and I messed myself up.
Love you for that, Rico.
Or Priscilla, somebody. Or I'm going to order them from somebody who's been keeping them already for a while, like a John Oliver or Mod Guppy or Bob Kaler sells guppies occasionally, I think. Doug Gray. There's a lot of people out there that aren't breeding in salt. And so I know, and Lucas Bretz, he doesn't breed in salt. So I'm getting fish that I don't have to do that extra step.
Yeah, gotcha.
Absolutely.
I would just like to real quick. I'm sorry, James.
Go ahead.
They're still talking about how to pronounce Shanna's name correctly in the chat. You started off the whole thing.
Shauna or Shanna?
Well, Zen Ginger says it rhymes with banana. Shanna banana.
There you go.
What did she say? Did she agree with Zen Ginger? The thing
I'm
is,
sorry.
Zen
I didn't mean to throw you off there.
No,
Zen is from Texas, so she might have an accent. And you see, if I was a true good Southerner, you wouldn't know what I was saying.
Wait a minute.
Hi, Shanna.
You folks ain't from around here, are you?
I'm not. But if I was, it'd just
I
be
was
Shauna
drinking.
and everybody would be happy. Don't make fun of my accent. Okay, so gosh,
Sorry. Salt.
Well, I did want to say, pertaining to what Rico was asking, in terms of how you can know, the biggest thing is you can get a pretty good idea, like Ed mentioned, with the box stores, but also specific areas overseas if you're ordering online.
Gotcha, like Aquabit or something.
Yeah, well, and like Ed would be more familiar with the areas, but you kind of get familiar with, okay, if I order from this country, They typically come from this kind of water, so I need to adapt or understand. If I get them, they're going to be from warmer water, salty water, highly mineralized water.
Yeah, it's because fresh water there costs more than salt water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to just bring in what they can bring in.
And that's just something you learn with time. Is there anything out there that sort of lists that information? I mean, that would be great information to have quite often.
Like John Oliver, he's getting them from over there, and then he's sending them in a tank, and he's winging them himself.
Yeah.
And same way with Doug Gray. If he orders from over there, he orders that way. Probably Jesse from HC Aquatics. I'm sure he's gotten from Asia. It just, you got to, and that's where you start off with salt. And you're going to do all the parasites and want to get anything out of them anyway, but just wing them slow.
Gotcha.
Is the best way.
Okay.
And with my mollies, man, mollies are awesome because they are a saltwater fish and a freshwater fish. I have no problem whatsoever breeding mollies in freshwater. They just like it a little warm. And I find mollies will start popping out babies at about 78. And I some people say maybe if it was saltwater, it could be a little cooler, but I find that 78 is about the magic number for mollies. And I've got lots of different types of mollies. So I had swordfish. I got some really neat swordfish from Rob at Aquatic Aesthetics. Somebody had brought in a whole bunch of them. They were trying to breed and they couldn't breed them. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try because, full grown swordfish or swordtails are awesome. So I got all these swordtails and I put them in my tank. They did nothing for about 6 months. And then I added some water flow and now they're going like crazy. I don't know. Every fish is different, but now they're popping out like 20 babies a month. It's pretty cool. And I know it's from the water flow because that's the only thing that's changed in that tank. Bizarre. But okay. Well, but let's go back to our guppies. Well, we talked about salt. One thing that I like to add to all my tanks is calcium somehow. I want my water to be hard. I want it to be at least 7.4 for my guppies. I'm normally sitting about 7.4, 7.5. So crushed coral does great because once you get too high of a pH, it stops melting and it won't keep creating more pH. So it levels out. And then when you get soft, it starts to break up again and it brings you up. So it's a nice leveler. But if you want 8.0, you can't just throw in crushed coral. It's not going to keep raising it.
Yeah. Now, what do you think is the top limit for that, for the hard water? You said 8.0. I mean, how much higher can you go than that?
I have never really gone that high. I've always been right. I've never had that hard of water.
Mine is in the 8s. I don't remember. It's been so long since I tested, but it is in the 8s.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
But my guppies breed like crazy, all of them.
Yeah, I bet they'd love it.
Yeah. I just wondered if you have dealt with that.
No, I imagine they probably
Do you hear a buzz?
Yep. I wonder if James switched mics.
I shouldn't have.
I don't know who it was. If it was me,
I think James, you were just louder in general just now.
I did mute and unmute my mic. That was potentially it.
Okay, it went away anyways. It went away.
I wonder if it muted your mic, but then went to your computer mic.
Possible. Shouldn't have because I used the Yeti mute button versus the StreamYard mute button.
Oh.
But no, I'm just here to cause distractions.
I thought that was my job.
Well, James, what do you do to keep your pH, or do you care?
I don't. I mean, I care in the sense of I want things to thrive in it, but I don't do any adjustments. I've always very much been of the mindset to adapt things to the water versus adapting the water constantly, because if you're always trying to drop it or lower it, like crushed coral is one thing, so I'll put that in a category of its own. But things like pH up, pH down, well, I'm going to mix my water and change the pH in a bucket. I'm not a huge fan of that. If you do that, kudos to you and to each their own. But consistency being key in this hobby, I feel, over various aspects of the hobby. It's very difficult to remain consistent if you're having to try and mix that pH every single time you do a water change, and the pH is, fluctuating up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
I just find, though, that some guppies don't want to drop if your pH is too low.
Absolutely. And I would say that being somewhere that I'm above 7 constantly. So I have that luxury, if you will. But I really think I'm a huge proponent of crushed coral if you do have to raise your pH versus like using a pH up and mixing that in your water.
That's awesome. Boy, I have a lot of trains tonight. I think this is my 4th train in the last hour and a half. Can you guys hear a horn going?
Yeah, I did hear it. I wondered what it was. I was looking down at phones on my desk.
Yeah, it used to be before I went with the mics, everybody could hear it like crazy up here. Okay, so crushed coral is something I do. You can also use crushed shells, but I'd put them in a bag. I actually been buying the little coral rocks and breaking them for your saltwater tanks because they have like the cut coral. It's just really cool. So I just drop a little rock of that in each tank. But okay, so that's one thing that I do. Filtration, I think, is important because you don't want to suck your fry up. So that's where I have fallen in love with the sponge filters. My dad in the 70s, he used the box filters, the plastic ones that kind of look like half of a castle. That's what I always thought I thought they were like rip-off toy castles, because they had like a little round thing on the front that looked like a drawbridge that was always up, and that's where the water was supposed to flow in. And he lived by by charcoal and cotton, and he changed that every single week, and that's how he kept it. But I don't want anything that's going to suck my guppies up. So if I do have to put like a hang off the back filter on one of my guppy tanks, I'm going to make sure that I have a Prefilter, sponge on it, or I'm going to put a pantyhose over it.
I use some of that filter floss stuff around it, or the polyfill, because I have one in this tank right here. I have a hang on back, and I just never bought the Prefilter. That's the only one. All the rest of them have hang on backs as well, but I do have the Prefilter. So for that one, once a week I change it, and it's just wrapped around it. That's all it is. Just wrapped around it a few times, and it does a good job of keeping the fry from being sucked up. It's one of those marine lands with the huge, the holes inside the grill for the intake are huge. So that does a good job. I mean, it's a pain in the butt to have to change it all the time, but yeah. Michelle Kedzie.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let James get that. I'll try not to laugh. Okay. And then, so that's what I do for filtration. You can also use under the ground or under the gravel filters, because that's a real good one that hardly anybody ever uses anymore.
Yeah.
But what I've actually been doing? I haven't told anybody this, but for about 5 weeks, since I stopped being in the fish room, one of the things that I did was I took myself offline. I know my internet's messed up, but that's not the offline I meant. I meant I turned off my air to my fish tanks.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I didn't turn it off to the ones that have huge amounts of fish or ones that with big fish. But in my guppy room, when I took like the tubs or the tanks that had the biggest populations and I put half outside, the rest of my populations were pretty small.
Okay.
So I thought I'm going to try going a summer without oxygen and do it like Lucas Brett's.
Yeah.
And I've been watching it close and making sure I do water changes. And so far, I haven't had any like ammonia spikes or anything dying off on me, and it's super quiet in the room. But I don't know if I'm seeing any bigger numbers of fry.
Yeah, but even if it's the same or even just a little bit lower, that's probably okay without running all that extra stuff, as long as they're healthy, right? I mean, the trade-off is probably worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
It's
afraid. Like, I was terrified when I left to Iowa,
Yeah.
because I wasn't going to be able to see them every day and see if anything's going to start to cloud up or anything. And yes, and I do have heavily planted tanks. That's a huge thing too. But
there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the chat there. We're talking about no general hardness for Steven. He's talking about different stuff with his water. Ryan, Natural Aquarium, said none of my guppy tanks have filters other than the plants. None.
oh wow, that's awesome.
And I'd like to grab a question from Fishaholic that was earlier in the stream. He says, Ed and James, my albino Corey finally laid eggs, but got some fungus, but some got fungus. Is that normal? And what do you feed the fry? Thanks. I'm super happy, guys. Hopefully we'll get a few fry out of that batch. Congrats on that. In my experience, if you can move them into either one of the marina hang-on boxes that has where it uses an airlift to pump water through it, and then I also will split that airline and put an air stone in there to get lots of flow going over those eggs. That's one option. If you have the net box that hangs inside, you can drop an air stone directly in there to get some nice water flow going over them consistently. There's also the methylene blue option for eggs. And then in terms of feeding, my recommendations would be you could do things like microworms, maybe brine shrimp, infusoria. But congrats.
I would also really crunched up, like you can crumble up food and drop it in there. What I do is I put pinch it in your fingers, like I put it in my hand, pinch the powder in my hand, put it under the water and let it go, and you'll see it trickle down to the bottom. And because when my dad was breeding corridors in the 70s, he never had any live foods. It was all just flakes and pellets. So he crunched up just for the babies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100% valid. You can do that. And there's the powdered foods like First Bites and things like that. You definitely can do it without live foods. It goes to that age-old back and forth of, well, you don't have to have live foods, but you definitely can see a difference from the live foods.
Yeah, and like you said, the First Bite, see, now they even have higher protein stuff for the babies to grow quicker, which is great. Like First Bites, Corey from the co-op, I use his fry food all the time. It's great. Rapashi, you can use that without, thank you. You can use Rapashi and don't mix it up in gel. You just use it in powder form. Will work. There was one other. Never mind. That was a local guy I bought food from. It's fry food, but he made it himself, and so it doesn't really help me to advertise him.
Now let me ask you: between flake food and like frozen foods like frozen Daphnia. How do you feel about the differences in those? Do you think that the frozen stuff is a higher level? Do you think it's a little better, or is it just a different one that's good to feed once in a while too?
No, I used to do an awful lot of frozen, and I still do quite a bit. I have a whole freezer dedicated to fish food. Now, I bought so much last year because I was afraid that the COVID would hit and I would not have fish food. So I literally bought cases. And so I have a lot. But I also started live brine shrimp last year. So I didn't need quite as much. I think the live is better. But the Daphnia, I love Daphnia, feeding it to them. The frozen Daphnia. I tried, John Cox gave me a culture and I killed it. Darn
Same here. Not from John, but I killed mine too.
Yeah. And is it Cyclops that's infused with spirulina, or is it shrimp?
I think they do brine shrimp and other stuff too. I've seen something else.
They do, yeah.
Was it mysis maybe? I don't remember what the other, but
I believe
I've seen
got
brine
the
shrimp.
Hikari BioPure does brine shrimp infused with the spirulina. I like that for my plecos because it gets the spirulina in there, but it's also got some meats and proteins. But no, I really think on your question, Rico, we've gotten to the point in the hobby where there are some really high quality foods, dry foods, flake food pellets that are available. Case in point, Extreme Foods, hashtag not sponsored, but love those guys. There are some really high quality foods out there that you don't have to do quite as much of the frozen because it always was kind of a higher standard using the frozen foods versus some of the other dry food. But I'm very much a variety person, so I still include the frozen foods. And I do find with breeding, which is what Ed's talking about, I've typically seen a bit more breeding activity when I am introducing those frozen foods, or at least things that are higher in protein, to get that process going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I would do one dry and one frozen or live.
Absolutely.
That's how I do it.
At the same time, or
nope, separate. I'll do
like one in the morning and one in the at night or something.
Yeah, I'll do the dry food in the morning first. So that way, if it sits around, something's going to eat it, because everything's going to eat the frozen or the live.
Yeah.
So that's why I do that like 2 hours before dark. And I did it before our stream. Right before our stream, I was running around feeding all the tanks, just because I know it won't be there when the lights go out. So,
Ed, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and read through some super chats here, just because I've got to keep my chat up there so I don't lose it. So I'm nowhere near current.
I was about to read one earlier, and I went, "Oh wait, I'll mess everything up." And I appreciate you doing it because you keep it.
And
organized.
now a word from our sponsors. We've got a $2 super sticker from Rick Silva with the cool exercise pair.
Oh, nice. I kind of look like a pear when I go out to the I almost said the beach. I haven't been to the beach since forever, but cool.
Carrie Habercorn with the $1 super sticker with that cute black cat. Thank you, Carrie, for that.
Oh, I love the cats.
Absolutely.
She knows me well.
Carrie Habercorn with the $10 super sticker with the hippo doing the KO knockout.
Awesome.
Knockout, Ed. Thank you, Carrie, for that.
Carrie.
There we go. Chat tried to jump on me. I knew it was coming. Kaler's Aquatics and Exotics. How's it going, Bob? With the $5 super sticker with the...
Okay, let's see if I can do it as good as Dan. I don't think I'm as good as Dan. But
Well, he was a theater major. What do you expect?
I know. He's so cool.
Michelle Kidsey with the $5 super chat says, "Really, Rico? Again, because I donated to Ed before you you show off by being on his show. Love all you guys." Michelle, thank you so much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Rolling on through here. Fantastic Freaks, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. $5 super chat from Fantastic says, "Shoot, got to watch football and lost track. Got to watching football and lost track of time. Hope all is well with everyone. Thumbs up." Well, I hope whoever you were rooting for did well, and thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Rolling on down here, Mike's Aquatics and Things with the $5 super chat with a whole bunch of angel halo smiley faces. I think that's what those are, halos.
Nice.
Maybe those are just round fishnets without the net in them. I don't know. But thank you so much, Mike. Very much appreciated.
Mike.
Rolling
Our
on
Chiefs
down
start
here.
pretty soon.
Oh, don't do that to me. There we go. I knew Rico Stan had snuck one in there. Rico Stan, that guy, actually pointed the right direction the first time. I don't believe it. What's up?
Good job.
$5 super chat says, "Someday I need to join you on a stream." One of these days, Rico Stan. One of these days we'll get you up here. I know you're not the most photogenic guy, and we try not to lose subscribers when we do these, but one of these days. No,
The guy came on here saying that he wanted to talk about some Santa Claus thing, and he's just been sitting here just...
You can't get rid of the guy. Yeah, he's not going to shut up.
I'm getting so tired. Oh,
He's probably going to go do his own thing after Ed gets done here in a little bit. I don't know about that guy. But seriously, thank you, Rico Stan. And Pompeii Ranch with the $3 super sticker with the thumbs up, fist bump pair. What's going on, Pompeii? A huge thank you to all of you all for showing the love and support from my buddy Chattanooga Ed here.
Nice. Thank you, guys.
While I've got this right in front of me, Guppy Shack says, "Fish Room Fever, my big question about filterless setups is, what about surface movement for gas exchange? Is that BS now?" Ed, you're doing the filterless. Would you like to answer that?
I didn't hear the whole thing because I was waiting to say something. Rob said it's the spirulina that's, wait a minute, infused. No, darn it. Rob said what it was infused that I get from him, and I forgot what it was.
is there a
Now I just forgot everything. Yep. Oh, well. What was the question?
The question, now you've made me forget the question. No, the question was in regard to filterless setups.
Yes.
There's always been a huge talk around making sure you have surface agitation for gas exchange. Is that garbage now is pretty much what the question was.
Well, the thing is I constantly am agitating the top with my fingers. I know that sounds weird, but I have duckweed in almost every tank. And so every time I go to feed, I scoop some duckweed out and I feed them. So that's kind of my method of keeping duckweed to a minimum, is I'm constantly doing this. And in the other tanks that don't have the duckweed, I don't see any layer except in one tank. I do see one tank that has a filmy layer, and it's one of my betta tanks, and he's always constantly making giant nests or bubble nests, and I wonder if it's partly his fault. But I use my thumb and just kind of go whoop through the layer, and then I put dry bloodworms in there or some flake for him. So
absolutely. I think that as small as it might be, I think that kind of can be a factor to it, because even if you look at like Lucas Bread, so I think it's safe to say he's been doing it the longest on the largest scale, 100 tanks plus consistently. He's in his tanks all the time. He's netting fish for orders. He's moving plants around. He's constantly
huge.
In the tanks. So I feel like that could potentially be a factor in it. You are getting some exchange going on in terms of the planted tanks. And that's, I think, really one of the key factors that I would stress to people is that having a well/heavily planted tank factors into the success rate of running a filterless, surface agitation free. I'm not opposed to the filterless method at all. I don't know that I will ever run the entire fish room without the filters. I think the air pump will always be running the sponge filters. I do have one tank that's been filterless now for almost 2 months. It's just a Neocaridina tank. It's Blue Dreams. Absolutely no problems there without surface agitation. But I feel like it's one of those things that I wouldn't tell a new hobbyist to jump into. I feel like it's safer to kind of do it the traditional way, if you will, with that surface agitation. And then as you grow your skill and your passion and develop kind of a feel for the hobby, try moving into it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would, and it's still, it makes me nervous. It really does. There's one tank I'm going to go put it back on. Well, I ended up putting a hang off the back filter on because it was just making me too nervous. And that is actually those wild mollies. They breed so crazy. They have so many babies that it's a constant water change in that tank. It's every week I have to do a water change, and I have to constantly pull plants out because they grow like crazy in there too. So I really need to mail some of those to Kenny E because I have way too many F1 silver. What are they? They're supposed to be green sail fin mollies, but I think they're silver mollies. I don't know if they have much of a sail fin, but I feed them the high protein diet that my guppies are on, and the males turn gold, and it's really cool when they get to adults. So you got a whole bunch of silverfish, and then you have like 2 or 3 gold ones in there. It's really cool.
You have videos of those?
No, not a single one.
I'm really interested. You should make some. I haven't kept mollies or platies at all since I was a kid, and killies are next on my list, but those were also high up.
I have 2 films that I have almost completed, and I was waiting just to make a thumbnail for, and I made the thumbnail about a week ago, and I still haven't uploaded them. And I have all the videotape of building the whole fish room. I have so much stuff, and it's just, I don't know. I just enjoy hanging out more than work.
You need to hire an editor.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of great stuff being talked about in the chat too.
When I get to 100,000 subs, hopefully I can afford to hire a kid from the junior college to edit all the Fish Room Fever stuff for us.
What's funny you mentioned that. I'm actually working on going back specifically for editing and filmography.
Oh, awesome. Well, I
Oh,
want
you
to
really
hire
are.
everybody.
Hey,
Yep,
congrats!
yep.
Awesome.
I'm in the process of. I've refused to put dates on anything anymore. Let's just say I am in the process of filling out paperwork because I think that would be something that would be, conducive to
Yeah.
better channel.
Yeah.
You know what? If you can get a Saturday afternoon class, maybe I'll sign up with you. I'll drive to Knoxville every Saturday and take a class.
Well, I'm doing everything online, so that's one of the things. I'm doing everything online, just because life is crazy enough right now without digressing into my shenanigans. So it's strictly online. It's the only way I can fit it into what is my schedule.
Yeah.
Using the word schedule loosely. But yeah, I just want to share that because you mentioned. I'm like, yeah, I feel like something that could be fun and bring something new to the table.
Yeah. And you're interested in it already, so
Yeah.
you're going to be very motivated to learn more about it.
Exactly.
Natural
Nice.
Aquarium says, Ed, you can hire James. How can I hire the boss? That.
I don't know about the boss, but yeah. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm the chauffeur.
Ed is the head of travel and security. Yeah.
Oh. No, I think you're security.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that one. We did have a question in one
I'm
of the
too
super
slow.
chats.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Did we? There were some more super chats.
There are some more, and now another word from our sponsors. Swiss Aquatics with $1.50 super sticker with that black cat. Thank you, Priscilla.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla.
Dave's Aquarium thoughts with that $1 super sticker with the big money-eyed smiley face. Thank you, Dave.
I miss Dave, man. I haven't seen him around for a while.
Absolutely.
It's great to see him.
Dave's Aquarium thoughts and aquariums maintained by Andy. Both of them, I kind of miss their after hours shows, but it breeds room for goofy guys like this Rico Stan character to show up, at night. Pompeii Ranch had a $5 super chat that says, getting 6 discus, already have 39 cardinal tetras, 5 cories, and 2 plecos. How do I handle the increased bio load? I was told
one more Corey.
right. I was, it's always the 6. I was told stability would work. So you can use the Seachem stability. I really, since you already have that many fish in there, in my personal opinion and experience, I don't think you're going to see too much of an issue. Now, if you were to reverse that and you had 6 discus and you were adding in those 40 some odd fish, potentially a problem. But given the bio load that you already have in there being the size that it is, I wouldn't worry too terribly much about it. What I personally would do is for the first week, I would, once you get the discus in there, I would feed half what you normally feed. That's going to reduce the bio load, if you will. It's going to bring down, how much the cardinals and the cories, the plecos are outputting in terms of waste, and kind of help level it off. Because there's never, and this is one of my tangents I'm going to try and not go off onto, but I feel like we try and achieve this point A to point B, like it's here and I need it here. Whereas our parameters are always fluctuating, like bioload's constantly fluctuating. Your beneficial bacteria are constantly dying off and reproducing and dying off and reproducing. We're never at an exact level. So we're never really at B. We might be above, below, around, near, over, on it, now removed. So I really think with introducing a few fish to the mini, just for the first week, feed half what you would normally feed. Your bio load should be caught up. You'd be good to go.
Now, but he's adding discus.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see how big they are and when he's going to feed them. Because if he's feeding them a heavy, they might really eat a meaty something.
Right.
And I don't know if those plecos are meat eater plecos, but he might be depending on 5. I don't know if they're stir by or what. 5 cory cats to do the cleanup work. You may need a bigger thing because I used to feed my discus beef heart, and they didn't eat a lot of it. And I had Rottweil's do the cleanup work, and they did great. Just throwing that out there. Because
that's absolutely a valid point.
If they're a pellet discus, then they're just go with it, man. That's awesome. But I was back in the old days when discus were so hard to keep. It was insane.
Yeah. I feel like we've moved a long ways from that. I don't feel like they're that really super sensitive, delicate fish that they even still get, characterized as at this point.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you, Pompeii Ranch, for that super chat.
Yeah, thanks, Pompeii. And it was a great question.
Absolutely.
I love and you know what? I own about a bajillion bags of the new Hikari. What is it called? It's like it looks like a worm. It's a red little bite, and you drop it in. It looks like a bloodworm, but it's not. And the discus have been eating that.
Yeah,
Lefty is Vibrabites. Yes, Lefty's a sponsor of those guys. He works with them. But I've got like a bunch of those, and that would be pretty awesome if you could get those Vibrabites.
Absolutely.
I want some Vibra boots.
503 Aquatics had $3 super sticker with the fist bump pair. Thank you again, 503. And our buddy Paul Sotero with $5 super chat says there's nothing like the fresh stuff with 5 piles of poo on there.
Yeah. And that's what I'd like to keep in my tank. Except mine's worm poo.
And then, and I will be caught up. Aquatic Aesthetics with the $5 super chat says monthly dues and membership would make this so much easier.
I was just going to mention him. Yesterday, he can order. I don't know if he can order them for everybody or maybe he was just being nice to me. But him and Andrew's his left-hand man at the store, are buying blackworms. Live blackworms.
Nice.
Big bags of them. They're filled with leeches, so that's kind of gross. But, I mean, that's the facts of the game with bloodworms. So you do get some leeches. But, man, that's cool. I would love to get blackworm someday with a pistos or something that likes to nibble on them and have them just coming out. Or maybe rams. That would be pretty neat because I bet rams would love to just kind of surf around the substrate and see if one pops up and pop it in their mouth. That'd be cool.
Definitely.
Okay, sorry, I digress.
Everybody expects you to digress. They expect me to digress.
It's terrible. Oh my gosh. The last couple streams that I've had the realms of, I've been so hyper, guys. It's like, I need to ring it in and not be so hyper. Okay, so let's talk about substrates real quick. Get back on our subject. I like using the sand-capped soil substrates. I love it. It grows the best plants in the world. I use the pool sand. I get the pool sand from my local pool store. I think it's $7 for a 50-pound bag. It might be $8. And I've heard people paying up to $15. Maybe my pool store sells that to me cheap because they get $100 for all the other chemicals I get from them. But that sand is so cool because it's already cleaned. It seems like when any other substrate I've ever had, when I use I'm looking for tweezers and I'm upstairs. If I have my plant with a tweezer and I stick it into the substrate, it floats away. That pool sand just stays perfect. So, guys, I highly recommend it. It doesn't look pretty forever. The mold gets in there. It starts to go down through it. So it's going to eventually look gross. But it works still just the same. So,
absolutely.
James, what do you – and I do have 2 tanks that are bare bottom. And those are tanks that I'm using only for one purpose only, and that's for breeding. If I've got a male guppy with too big of a tail, he can't catch those girls. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take 3 girls, if I can get 3 unhit girls and put them in the tank with the best boy. I'm not going to go and look for 3 good looking boys. I just want 1 good boy, the best boy. And I'm going to put them with those 3 girls. then I know. And then next time I do a rotation, this boy's going to retire back into the tank, and I'm going to pull a different boy. So I'm getting a little bit of gene pool changing too. But
Very
that's
nice.
the only time I'm using my 5-gallon glass bottom tanks. But I mean, some people, they love the mulm on at the bottom, like Doug Gray. I love Doug Gray's show. If you guys haven't seen Doug Gray, he is a guppy expert. I love the guy.
Yeah.
And he has amazing jokes. It's just
I don't know
you
about that. Amazingly
everything.
bad jokes.
oh my god, they make me laugh so hard. They can't be bad if they make you laugh. But he does just the glass bottom tanks, and he swears by it. And he likes a little bit of mulm. I know that people say that the babies find food in the mulm and stuff like that. Man, I'm feeding my babies food, so I'm not worried about them having to eat mulm. But what do you do, James?
I've done everything from the glass bottom, the bare bottom, that's what I was looking for, to sand substrate, to just your typical pea gravel from the hardware store. I do find when you get into the larger finnage guppies, things that have tails that drag, the bare bottom seems to work better just because they can't rub on the substrate. They can't mess their finnage up on the gravel and stuff. Not a huge issue, but it can from time to time cause issues, and then you get infections and things. But I've really not had a bad breeding experience with any of them. I do embrace the mulm, and I have even, depending upon the setup. So a lot of times in my bare bottoms, in most tanks, I'll have Neocaridina shrimp, whether it's the cherries or whatever color. Pick your color, right? Pick your flavor. So in the bare bottoms, I will add piles of lava rock in one of the corners just to kind of give some hiding places. Some people swear against it because of the buildup in there, and you can get some detritus buildup. But I find that if you're going to do bare bottom and you're wanting some really good hiding places for baby shrimp and even baby fry, that works well for me. It's pretty much dealer's choice. How do you want to set up your tank? How does it look? They all seem to work fairly well.
And we'll ask Rico, but then we're going to go back to tank mates. Rico, you do have some guppies, so you do have experience in this.
Yeah, a little bit. But first, I think embrace the mulm in your bare bottom would make a great T-shirt. I think a lot of people be like, "What?"
Wow.
So I think that's your next T-shirt there.
There we go. I'm going to do that right now. Goodbye. No.
James, I'll buy it. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to
embrace the mulm in your bare bottom.
I've definitely got some off-brand things on the Teespring that would fit right in.
Yeah, it would. Because I've seen a lot of that stuff, and it's perfect. I use Echo Complete in everything, and the only reason I do is because that's what I put in my first tank, and I like the way it looked. I like the results that I got with my plants and everything. And I haven't really branched out from that yet. You know what I mean? I just sort of stuck with what I knew worked good for me. But I do want to try these. I want to try the father fish method. I want to try, actually, the one on the floor here, the 29-gallon is bare bottom, but that wasn't really planned. That was, I was setting it up just to breed some Bosemani's in, and then I got some bluegills. I've got 7 bluegills in there. So
nice.
And that wasn't planned. They're going to be moved into a tub in the basement here pretty soon. So it's been Echo Complete in everything. And I do notice, though, they've got the red and the black, and they're supposed to be pretty much the same thing. But the red, you can just hold it in your hand, and it really is different. It's not as jagged as just the black is. I like the red better. And I think it's better for because I have Corys in all my tanks. I have Plecos in the tanks.
I think the red has red clay in it.
What's that?
I think it has red clay in it, so it's probably more high in iron too.
You know what? You're probably right, and that's a great point because this tank has Echo Complete, the black, and my plants don't do so great in that one. This tank has the red, and my plants in this tank are always just crazy, and I don't do anything different. I do have different types of lights on them. experimenting with the right lighting and stuff, but you might be onto something there. Maybe the red does better. I never really looked, to be honest, because I'm lazy.
Well, I think the red is more of a soil type backdrop or substrate, and the black is more just like rock. But
you might be right.
It's such a porous rock. When you squirt your fertilizer in there, it goes through easier, and mulch probably goes through. So there's advantages to both. Both of them work great. I just couldn't afford to do 60 tanks in it.
Oh no, I have 10. 2 of them are 5 gallons.
I've always called it Eco. Is it Echo?
Oh, I don't know. Eco sounds better, right? It probably is Eco.
Well,
ECO, it's Eco.
I'm also the Flu Gold guy instead of Flu Gold. So,
well, maybe Echo Complete is my Flugel. Because Echo would be ECHO, right? That's Echo. But I've always seen Economic Echo, ECO. So I've always just assumed it was Echo Complete. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, that's one thing. You'll never get the English police or the spelling
grammar Nazi.
From me. That's for sure. You know what? We've only made it through half the list. Let's go 5 more minutes, and then we'll switch over to your show.
You know what? It doesn't matter if you want to just keep going. I'm fine with that. I don't want it. I don't want you ever to end your show early because I'm going next.
Okay, how about this? We'll take it to an hour. We're at 50. We're at 51 and a half minutes. So we'll just go another 8.5 minutes.
Whatever works, Ed. Whatever you want to do. I'm good with all of it.
Well,
I get to hang out with you guys, so that's all that matters.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, well, James was talking about his shrimp that he likes to put in with his guppies. Now, I messed up, and I'll be honest with everybody, I messed up because I overfeed my guppies so they don't eat their fry. And what happens is I end up with too many pest snails. Bladder snails and pond snails and ram snails. I get too many pest snails. So what I did was I bought loaches for my tanks. And they're beautiful. They're awesome. And they do eat. They keep the tanks that have the loaches have a lot less snails, but I think they also have less fry because I think they're eating my baby fry at night when they lay at the bottom of the tank. So I'm slowly pulling the loaches out. But loaches are really hard to pull out of a planted tank without destroying your tank.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that someday I can recruit James when he comes over to help me for a day or a couple hours because he's so amazing at catching fish. So, like, if I can round them into his nets, it'd be awesome. I've tried to have my dad do it, and he just doesn't quite have the skills anymore to do it. So he ends up knocking every plant out. He's like,
yeah.
Damn. So, but yeah. So it's better to just keep it to the basics: snails and shrimp. I firmly believe shrimp are a necessity. And I know that they're not really a necessity, but I just think they're amazing creatures. Yeah. And people will say, well, the shrimplets will get eaten by the guppies. Wonderful.
A little. I don't have that problem too bad because my colony, I started out with 10 and every tank except for the 75 has shrimp. I mean, I have a ton of shrimp. They're just all over the place. And they're with the guppies. So,
well, but maybe you would have a Brazilian if you didn't have guppies.
I got plenty.
Yeah, but I mean, I have the same thing. Like my swordtail tank, it's a 120, and I probably have 40 swordtails in there and 40 mollies in there, and a million shrimp. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You wouldn't think the shrimp would be able to survive. But, I mean, these shrimp are so bold. When I drop the food in there, they're like trying to take the food out of the fish's mouth. That's hilarious. But, so, guys, you don't have to buy, I've got just shrimp tanks that I got from Priscilla and Rob from Flips Aquatics. Those are super expensive shrimp. that I'm keeping by themselves in their own tanks. You know, they're solid quality ones. But I have bought a ton of wonderful shrimp from Rob at Aquatic Aesthetics, and they're not showroom shrimp, but they're the workers. You know, they're the ones that get all the job done. And for a long time, every time I went to his shop, I'd buy 12 or 18 until I had enough. And now I have enough in every tank. I can just kind of throw them around. But I used to just buy shrimp like crazy from Rob. And the only reason why I don't is because I have so many now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only, my Blue Dreams didn't work out too good. I don't know why, but I got them from a couple of different sources, and they just, they were fine, but they never really bred, and they didn't do that well. But the cherry shrimp went crazy. Just the plain cherries, they're all over the place. They're in every single tank, like even the one with the crayfish in it up there, the one that's down real low, and there's a reason for that. The only one is this one. It doesn't have them in there. That's the one and only.
Well, maybe James, and I haven't told this to James, but we might be making a stop in Bloomington, Illinois at a place called the Shrimp Farm.
Ooh, okay.
And I want to call them first to make sure they have the shrimp that I really want in, because I don't want to drive to Bloomington if they don't.
Right,
but
absolutely.
I would like to get 12 or 15 of these shrimp for the Flugel, the big awesome one from Liquid Zoo, Matt F, because I want that to be just a shrimp tank. I'm not going to put a heater on it. Oh. And these shrimp are my favorite shrimp I've ever seen in my life. And there's just different colors that strike me in the world for some reason. Mm-hmm. And these guys are school bus yellow and white striped, which also just happens to be our college university colors. I didn't even realize that when I said, those are the coolest shrimp I've ever seen in my life. So I'm hoping that I can breed so many of them in that big, awesome tank that maybe I can scoop 10 of them out every so often, take them down to Rob and trade them in for some fish money, for some food money or something.
Fish money.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's if it's 50 cents, $1 shrimp, what he'll give me. But
I want some fish money.
Yeah. and
those were Neos? Is that what I missed? Were those Neos? Oh, okay.
But they're really neat, and they won the Relay competition in the United States at the last aquarium. What was it? Aquarium? What was that giant aquarium show expo thing in New York? Aquatic Experience.
Oh,
I think they were one of the few Americans to win, because most of it was dominated by Asians and Europeans. So it's pretty cool. And Rob, I think they would sell like hotcakes in your shop too, because like I said, and maybe, if Rob gets too many, I can take them to Kenny, and he'd probably take
You could
some.
ship them to other friends, say like in New York and stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But no, it'd be awesome. So shrimp are a definite. And you know what? We got a minute and a half. We're going to save the rest. I only got through about half my list.
Ed, if you want to, we can keep going. I've got no problem with that.
No, because it'll give us we'll have another topic excuse me. We'll be able to talk about it again on another week. It'll be awesome.
Yes. I was just say, after hundreds of shows, we've learned there's never a problem with having content for next time.
Yeah, really. So guys, I kind of went crazy on tonight's show. We were all over the place, but I hope you got a little bit of nuggets of something.
I blame
you,
Stan.
And thank you, all the super chatters. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, awesome mods. Lefty's right there. And Lefty, I'll be hanging out with him at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll be talking games on the Lefty 31213A. I messed that up. Lefty, just
31213A.
Lefty, put a link out for your show.
Lefty,
and then
lots of numbers.
But if you guys are just kind of tired of listening about fish and want to hear about movies, last night I went and I saw The Rock in The Jungle Cruise, and I'll be talking about that tomorrow on the Lefty Show.
Nice. I've seen it too.
What? And I saw 2 movies this week, and the other one's a surprise. Well, no, I'll just say it. It's not a real surprise. I also saw The Green Knight. So I'll be talking about 2 movies on tomorrow night's show.
Very, very
Rico,
cool.
it's been awesome having you hang out with us today.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And James, it's always awesome to hang out with you.
Always a pleasure, my buddy. It really, really is. And Rico, same with you as well. I know we've kept you occupied now, Rico, for the past hour and a half. Do you have your stream scheduled, or would you like us to hang out for a minute while you get it scheduled? That way we can drop a link in here.
It's all set. Zen, drop the one to my channel. Let me just go ahead real quick. Actually, in the private chat, I dropped the StreamYard one for you gentlemen. James, I don't know if you want to hang out with us. You're more than welcome.
I'll be happy to pop on for a few minutes before I have to run. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
All right. Let me just...
I have no idea how to find that, so you may have to put a link. I'm sorry.
I'll send it to you, Ed. I'll send it on our usual method.
Isn't there a way to see private chat? Oh, well, don't worry about it, guys. Thank you, everybody, so much. Check out this guy. We all know who he is, but it's going to be fun seeing him do his first fish stream, and we'll see how bad I mess it up for him.
You're going to make it good.
We'll see you in the next one.
All right.